I went to Idaho and I got my skills reality checked.
Oh no, wrong target.
Every once in a while, I take a trip up to Idaho State to visit with some of my friends who are in the industry, and we do some training, we talk over ideas, we hang out. It's a great time. It's always nice to be in Idaho. Idaho was the second pick for where we were going to set up defense distributors. It was between that and Texas. The reason I chose Texas specifically for defense distributors is because I like the warmth. That's not really business related. And a lot of the suppliers and distribution run out of Texas, specifically Fort Worth, where we are, out of that airport area. So it's been really, really helpful to be in Texas, and that was the right move for the business. But every time I go up to Idaho, I really, really enjoy the area. So while we were in Idaho, we did a bunch of training. There were 3 different types we did. We did some flat range, some competition, some night shooting. And in doing all of that, I got a reality check. I think some of you guys might also need a reality check like this if you're anything like me. The funny thing about running defense distributors is being a proficient shooter isn't actually necessary to a lot of the business stuff. I have to understand the gear, I have to understand the concepts, but high levels of proficiency in training isn't a requirement. A baseline level is, which is what I have. And now I'm looking to get a more proficient level in training because I really want to be skilled in using the stuff we have. And I want to be able to talk more competently about these concepts to really understand them better. And I just want to be able to use the gear I have to the best of my ability. So starting out at the flat range, the first day we did shooting, we just went to the flat range. Pretty simple, a couple of us out there, we set up some targets. We did some handgun, draws from belt. We did some rifle. All we had then was belt kit, handgun, and rifle. We did some movement drills, we did some static drills, and that was great for testing basic proficiencies on the flat range, which builds upon stuff we're going to do later.
Weird. Okay, anyways, that was not staged. I don't know what happened.
That's real life.
I was doing okay with my rifle drills at the flat range. Nothing insane, but pretty good for the level of training I've been doing with my rifle. My handgun was where I was starting to have some issues and where the reality check for me started to begin.
Holy fuck, you're lucky, right? Is that enough? Try not to scoop.
Up and out, in and out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We started off the range trip with a basic test of our handguns just to make sure that we were on target, that our red dots were zeroed. I was a little unsure on a couple of them. All of our red dots were fairly zeroed. This is the handgun I was using. It is my Glock 19X. I absolutely love it, and I've done quals with this before, basic quals, but enough for me to know that this is zeroed and a functioning handgun. 19X, Trijicon SRO on top because I really like having that larger window. TLR 7A below. I wanted a smaller light, but I did want a light on this build for defensive scenarios. Radian Ramjet, I don't know, it looks cool and it's supposed to help. It probably does. Extended slide release right here on the side, playing around with that as well as the extended mag release, just seeing how I like that. It's got some major drip, it's fun to shoot, I like it a lot, and as I was shooting this, my first drill, I was all over the place. As I went through the rest of the day, I began to get better with my handgun. It started to clean up, but the first drill and the next couple after that, I was all over the place, not only up, down, left, right. My groupings were not great, and there wasn't really a uniform pattern. It's like I was throwing flyers everywhere. I wasn't missing the target or anything, but I was throwing some flyers. Previous quals I've done with this handgun were based on speed and draw. The idea was you need to be able to quickly draw from your holster and put a shot on a very near target, which I was proficient in. I passed those quals. The problem with that is I was letting some very critical skills fall to the wayside, one of those being handgun grip.
The reason why the Glock is angled like this is because you're trying to get up in this and squeeze upwards.
And it wasn't just up, down, it was left, right, which was the real problem, showing that my grip was not strong. When you start shooting, you're going to have up and down motion from the recoil of the handgun, but you want it to go only up and down, not side to side, and with a good grip, which clearly I didn't have. So I'm going to be improving that a lot through dry firing and work at home. I think that all of us can improve on our handgun skills very, very easily by dry firing at home, which is something I'm going to be working on now much, much harder every single day.
Right now you're riding the reset, so every single time I hear that reset, what I want you to do is attempt to reset under recoil, is because if you have a really good grip, you can essentially smash this trigger and it's gonna do well.
Yeah. So that's what I was working on day 1 of the range day at the flat range. Next we moved on to IDPA, which is the second activity we did. There are 2 main types of competition I've heard of, USPSA or USPCA. I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it's USPSA. USPSA is the big competition everybody has been doing now in the gun tube space and the influencer space. It looks like a pretty solid competition, really building on your speed and your accuracy at the same time while moving. Super, super cool. And I think competition is essential to build those skills. IDPA looked like it was a lesser known version of that, but there was a practice match in the area for IDPA, which is what I went to. So this was a practice day, so when I showed up, it was a much more relaxed environment. We were setting up the range, putting targets down there, and then we were going through the stages as many times as we want. So I went through the stages a bunch. And again, it really came down to my handgun grip. I was doing kind of the same stuff. I was missing, not the targets entirely, but I was throwing flyers on these targets, which would have resulted in real competition in point deductions. And that's something I really need to work on in terms of skill sets. The targets were not that far away, but it just comes from having sloppy grip fundamentals, which is something I've let go. I was called out a couple times for my finger being on the trigger when you're doing reloads and that kind of stuff, which is not something you're supposed to do in IDPA. And I wasn't really aware that I was doing that. And I haven't been noticing me doing that on the flat range, which leads me to believe that there may be some skills that I'm more relaxed on that I'm not noticing because I don't have someone watching me in that setting. There were things people are picking up on when they're watching me that I was not realizing myself, because it's hard to notice those things in the moment. It's hard to self-check yourself. A second set of eyes can help with that, which is just another reason for competition. I'm very, very happy I went to IDPA. It was my intro to the competition world. That's my first competition I've ever went to, and it was just a practice competition, but it helped me to get a little glimpse into that. And I'm 100% going to be pursuing competition. The third activity we did was the night shoot. We just went out and shot some steel at night. It wasn't really anything crazy, just a few mags through, trying to put some hits downrange.
Yeah, you guys should just shoot so I can get cool footage, to be honest.
And what I realized through night shooting, even though it was fun, is that the daytime skills matter a ton. Now I've known this, but every time I go out and night shoot, I realize this over and over again. I have to keep making mental notes and writing it down. Hey, work on your daytime skills. Because when you have to do a reload under night vision, it is 10 times harder than it is during the day. If you're not building those fundamental daytime skills to a level of proficiency and you go and try to do it under nighttime, it's going to be a problem, because everything's harder under night vision. And so specifically when we were having some malfunction issues, trying to clear those, figure out what was going on, that was a whole problem. There was a lot of time spent on it. If I was actually in combat and was having to do a bunch of malfunction stuff, it'd be very, very difficult under night vision. When you get proficient in the daytime skills, they translate over really, really well, but it's going to be harder under night vision. That's why it is absolutely essential to build those skills. This is also a good opportunity to get some more footage of the GL4 Pro, which I'm always needing more of. That's the laser that we carry on defensestreamers.com that we've also made some modifications to. It is an absolutely incredible unit. It excels at its price point, and because the illuminator is huge, which as you can see in this wooded environment really helps. If I have to encounter a target that is in two places because there's two targets, I'm not gonna be able to see both of them at the same time if I have a really tight illuminator. Having a wider illuminator really, really helps with that. So if you want to support the channel, pick one of those up. Links in the description, defensestreamers.com. But that's what I learned from Idaho. There are a lot of skills that I need to work on, and I needed that reality check. Some of you guys might have needed that too. If there's anything in the comments specifically that you guys are doing to build on skills like that, let me know.